Welcome to Read Your Comics. Today, I'm looking at Secret Weapons #1. We're back at it again with another top seller from 1993. Today's book is the number 64 top selling book of that year. This is kind of like Valiant's version of the Avengers or Justice League. They didn't really have like a team book that took characters from different titles and then brought them into one title until this. They had Harbinger, they had Hardcore, Rye and the Future Force. I mean, I guess that one kind of did because it brought Magnus in and Eternal Warrior was in that too. But this is the main one I would say, like that's in, present day timeline that brought these characters together that you see on the cover. Interestingly enough, this is actually written and drawn by the same guy in this. Oh, and we have this serial number contest in here. Something to point out. Being the number 64 book, you can imagine this sold a ton of copies. Or saying it sold is not exactly accurate. Comic shops ordered a lot of this comic. And I think it mostly sat around because even to this day, when I run across this book in like dollar bins and stuff, you usually run across like a chunk of like 5 to 10 of them at a time. And it's, or you're flipping through a box and you're like, oh, there's a Secret Weapons #1. You keep flipping. And there's another one. You keep flipping around. There's another one. You flip around. There's 4 more. And you flip. So it was plentiful. And oddly enough, you would think that this, Valiant being kind of at its peak, you would think a team book like this would have been just like a hot seller. But, let's see, it had a September cover date. That would have come out in midsummer. This is after Turok. This is probably around the time that like the Exo Zero came out. I think by this point, people were just starting to burn out on the Valiant stuff. The tightness, the continuity and stuff that was there under Shooter, you could tell Shooter was gone already. And while some of the titles were still like pretty interesting, like the Exo title was still pretty good, for instance, and the Solar title was still pretty good for a little bit. But, a lot of what made those books special was already starting to fade away. So I just read this again for the first time, before making this. And I did find it interesting that you do have the same writer penciler on the title, and I can't think of another book where you really had that, other than maybe Barry Windsor Smith was involved with the plotting of his Solar chapters, and I'm not sure if he had writing credit on Archer and Armstrong. I believe he did, though, or at least some plotting. He may not have done the scripting. Anyway, it starts with this character who's like out in the desert, and I don't really remember what happened to him, but he's going through a thing where he's kind of having some hallucinations about Solar and saying he, needs to find the Dark Man to get his revenge. And so I think he just stumbles on, it's not very clear there, he just stumbles on these native people, and one of them looks like Master Dark to him. And, Master Dark was not a Native American person. I mean, I don't really know what nationality he was because he's just kind of like ghastly looking. And he knows that's where he has to go. And he somehow finds his way out to the road. He wants to take revenge on Solar. And I don't know. That must be something that happened in the Solar title. And I just don't remember it. Cut to Master Dark, who I did an episode on Dr. Mirage. And Master Dark was part of that. Master Dark was kind of becoming like the big player of the Valiant universe at the time. He was in this book and Shadow Man, in that Dr. Mirage book. He was just popping up everywhere. It's kind of being like the universe-wide big bad. I thought some of this art was interesting. It almost has a little bit of Barry Windsor Smith kind of stylistic, like in the faces and stuff to it. And I don't know much about, what's his name again? St. Pierre? Joe St. Pierre. I don't know really much about him. I don't know if he was like mostly an artist or mostly a writer and this was just an art gig, but I can definitely tell he's pulling from Barry Windsor Smith on some of this stuff. Anyway, Master Dark was going through some like little trance thing. And this is the guy. This is the guy in the desert, and he shows up. I think a little bit of time passed here, maybe like a year or so. And Master Dark is in his Dracula robes or something. I think he's in New Orleans and like kind of like a plantation style home. Anyway, this guy shows up and is like, I'm here to see Master Dark. I want to help you if you'll help me. I had some power like that of, I think he had power like that of Solar, and he wants it back. And Master Dark says he can give it to him, but you know, there's a catch. It's you're making a deal with like the devil essentially. Here's our serial code. This is like a number, and you were supposed to match it up. In fact, one second. In fact, that serial code is in this Dr. Mirage book. We'll look at it here in a minute, though. So he goes through this ritual with Master Dark. And, you know, the art in this, it's not like spectacular, but where it has that like little bend of Barry Windsor Smith to it, I enjoy it. A lot of motion of like twirling smoke and stuff. And it's, you know, this power is cutting through him, and he arises as this like dark version of Solar, and they call him Eclipse, Dr. Eclipse. So he's almost like reverse Solar. Then we're going to cut to these kids, and I don't know if they were in the Harbinger series or where their first appearance was. It establishes them like they were part of the Harbinger organization, and like the Harbinger book with the characters Sting and so forth, you know, Sting has escaped from the Harbinger Corporation, and I think they were part of the Harbinger like army, so to speak. And I think maybe they appeared in the Hardcore series, because they mention Hardcore that they're like kind of getting away from the city, and they're not really in a relationship because he's inviting her like, you can stay at my place, and like, we're friends, but we're not that good of friends. They're just walking down the street, and they see this kid playing the like card game on the street, and you know, it's one of those like scam card games, and this kid with the headband is beating it, and it's a guy that we've seen in mostly in Eternal Warrior, but he's been popping up all over too, going back to Unity even. This is Jeff, the Geomancer. And he beats the game because he's like in tune with the earth and everything, and he's like talking to the cards, I guess, or something. I don't know, but he was able to beat the game. And he's going to walk away, but it was supposed to be a scam. So, you know, tip of the hat to the two thug guys to go, you know, get their money back, because he wasn't supposed to win that game. And he's kind of a smart aleck. He's like, bye guys, and takes off running. But then he gets hit, and it's obviously like the Dr. Eclipse energy hitting him. So he falls to the ground, and they're like, what is going on? We didn't do anything to him yet. And we see our two Harbinger people that we saw on the street right there. They show up and just, you know, they're like, whoa, you can't be attacking the kid, especially when he's like down on the ground. Nice Deathmate double page ad right there. This makes it look interesting, the Deathmate story. But go watch my Deathmate prologue video. See, this feels like Barry Windsor Smith too, like a very toned down, like almost inked to oblivion version of Barry Smith. And they take the guys out, run him off, and he wakes up from his like, you know, little mind thing that he got, and he's like, hey, you guys were Harbingers, I saw you, I need your help. And they're like, whoa, what do you mean? Are you trying to scam us? Because they don't know him. And he runs to a payphone, really puts a timestamp on this. He has no money, but he can talk to things, so he just basically tells the phone, like, process this $3.75 call. It's a pretty expensive call, but it must be long distance. So he calls Solar, and Solar's girlfriend answers. And she's like, he's not here right now, but you know, I'll get back to you. Give me a number. I can give you his work number. And then it says, honey, I'm home. And then she's like, Phil, because Solar's real name is Phil. He's like, I wasn't expecting you. And he's like, oh yeah. And he calls her honey, let's see, Honey Bunch, yeah. Thought I'd I'd come visit my honey bunch for a little hanky-panky. And she's like, great, let me just go get ready real quick. And so she steps out of the room and immediately starts taking off. And he realizes, like, whoa, what's going on? And she was like, Phil would never call me a cute pet name. That was your giveaway. He doesn't talk like that. And he's got like kind of almost venomy looking things coming off of him. And there's that Hero Illustrated. So in my Dr. Mirage video, I mentioned Hero Illustrated #1. Had pretty much this. It is the same cover. Here it is right here. There it is right there. And fortunately, Solar shows up. And Solar is one of my favorite characters of the Valiant universe. So I think I was drawn to this book for that reason. I always love the way they do his like energy is like coming off as like beams of light, like straight beams. It's not Kirby crackling. It's not, waving around like water. It's just direct energy. And so he recognizes who this guy is right away. Let's see. Oh, his name was Bender. His last name was Bender. He recognizes him right away. They go toe to toe. This panel should be better. This panel looks very stiff. I mean, this is stiff right here. It could be cool. Like you've got these like crazy looking like arms going around Solar, but Solar just looks so stiff right there. Kind of stiff right there too. And that's where Valiant got the bad reputation of, being stiff. I mean, I guess that's how you would kind of describe a lot of the Valiant stuff, other than Barry Windsor Smith and Dave Lapham and Bart Sears. Oh, wait, I just listed several good Valiant artists. Joe Quesada. They had good artists. As I'm going through this book, though, I'm feeling like St. Pierre here maybe was running, like he was meeting the deadline, or, feeling the pinch of the deadlines as it goes on, and that's why you're getting some stiff panels. Like even this is okay. Still a little stiff. That's kind of cool. That's a nice angle there. This looks really good of him turning his hands into these blades. You see it happening there. He pierces him and then slices him in half. And then just starts to absorb him like a black hole. He leaves his hand out. And so this hand, if you've ever seen the Unity Saga, Solar gives the Geomancer like his hand to like transport around. It was really weird. So that's kind of like the leftover thing, and he eats it. All of that could have been done a little bit more dynamic. This looks pretty good too. So Geomancer reaches out to Eternal Warrior, and he's brought these two along, and now they're in their like what'll be their costumes, I suppose. I'm unclear of his powers other than that he is strong, and she can, I guess, manipulate this like gold lasso thing with her mind. I don't know if she can do more than that. So they get they get Eternal Warrior's help, and he's like, well, we're still going to need more help because this Dr. Eclipse sounds even too big for me to handle, even though I've been around for millennia. And he goes to recruit, he sends the kid to go recruit Bloodshot. And this art seems more like the Bloodshot art right here. And then he goes to recruit Exo Man of War, who's hanging out with Turok. And oddly enough, he's like, hey, I need you in the exosuit to come along to help us fight this. And he's like, well, I'm busy hunting dinosaurs right now with Turok. And he's kind of like, well, if you don't help me with this, there's not going to be anything to hunt because there's not going to be anything left. And he's like, you got this at first. He's like, yeah, Glad said you wouldn't, or you don't understand. He's like, I'll be back in a week, and then, I'll help you out then. He's like, well, probably so. Glad said you wouldn't be able to. What do you say? Glad doesn't think you can handle it anyway. Excuse me? He's taking it as an affront from Glad. So he's like, no, hold on a second. Turok, you're on your own for this. I'm going to go ahead and, join up. Why not bring Turok along? That's the weirdest thing to me in this whole scene. You got Turok and Arik going hunting, and he's here to recruit just him, but why not just bring Turok along? Turok was pretty integral in Unity, and, Turok was pretty popular. I mean, his number one issue was one of the top-selling books. It was the top-selling Valiant book ever, and it was one of the top-selling books of the year this particular year. Why not include Turok in this team? Eternal Warrior, or no, this is Shadow Man. I forgot Shadow Man was in it too. So and then we cut to Shadow Man, and he's disrupting. I guess Master Dark has these like corpses and stuff sent to him to work his necro magic. Shadow Man shows up to stop one of those shipments and get some info, and that's it. We don't get the whole team together. Kind of a decent start to a team book, I suppose. Solar was definitely the most powerful character in the Valiant universe, so having him be taken out in the first issue of this definitely adds some stakes to the series. I think I do have like number 2 and maybe number 3 here somewhere. I may read them just to see where it goes, but I know I didn't stick with it very long. At this point, like I said, at the beginning, Valiant was already starting to lose a lot of its luster by the time this came out, and they were pumping out new series. It became harder and harder to keep up with. This is one of the ones that, for me, made an early chopping block move, and I think these two characters didn't interest me at all. And there was already a solo, you already had a Solar series you were reading, and an Exo series you were reading, a Shadow Man series you were reading, so none of this seemed vital. I don't even know if the series lasted too terribly long. Maybe it did. That's pretty much it for Secret Weapons. I'm not 100% sure I will try to read those other issues. Maybe I will. I don't know. Until next time, read your comics. I forgot I said I was going to see if this serial number contest won anything. So let's look at this. So you had to buy a book like this that had this little tag in it. And it had this serial number. And then a month or two later, let's see, this is in November. So I guess it was just the following month. This is September cover date. This had November. So the following month you had to buy a book that had the winning numbers inside it. I don't know if all the Valiant books had the winning numbers in it, or maybe it was just this Dr. Mirage to, more of a reason to buy it or at least look into it. So let's see if it won anything. First prize was a set of all the Valiant comics to date. So you would have gotten, I don't think the Nintendo stuff was included, but all the Valiant Universe books from Magnus number 1 all the way up to, I guess up to this Dr. Mirage number 1. And then the following prizes were I think individual titles, all the issues of individual titles. So let's see if we won anything. Not that I can claim it today, but it'd just be funny if it did win something. So we have number 7222965. First prize, no. Second prize, no. Third prize, close, but no. Let's see. 7, nope. 11, nope. 12th prize. No. 13th prize. 211, not 222. No. And then finally, 14th prize, which you have all these winners for 12th, 13th, and 14th prizes. 7222. Nope. No winner for me. Oh well. Better luck next time. Until then, read your comics.